No. Yeah, we warmly welcome all attendees to the AnalyticsCreator Congress 2021. I hope you're all in good health in these turbulent times. My name is Peter Smolly. I'm the CEO. Thank you for joining the Congress. I'm really happy that you are here right now. Yesterday we counted more than 200 registrations. That's really awesome. But now I think we have a little bit less. Maybe it's because in the time zone, because the people joined, wanted to join us from all over the world, from Australia, from US, from UK, and from everywhere. This is the reason also because we will now record the session and share the recordings, some of the recordings on our YouTube channel. Now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dimitri Sorokin, the CTO of AnalyticsCreator and also the brain of the same. Some technical things to this video session. We will mute all attendees. If you have questions, please write us in the chat. At the end of the day, I will read aloud your questions and we give an answer. So let's see what we have prepared for you today. Now we go through the agenda. Please notice that we changed the start time of the sessions. You will see the actual agenda also online on the event page. This is a Congress for AnalyticsCreator users, for partners and interested people and companies. This year we noticed that we have a high growth in our audience from new interested people. So for this reason, we decided to give you a short intro about AnalyticsCreator. That you will understand the session better later on. This will happen in two parts. First, I will give you a short brief of AnalyticsCreator, just about 5 PowerPoint pages. Second, Dimitri will do a short demo of the product, and that you see how it works to build a data warehouse from the scratch in 30 minutes. Also in this track, we show some of the features we have developed in the last 12 months. Next is the Azure track with Dimitri. Then we have a break. At 11:15, we have a very nice presentation from BI Automation, a partner of us, and also BI Art. They are working together on several projects with AnalyticsCreator. They give you an intro about how it's working with AnalyticsCreator on a customer project. After that, we have a Data Vault 2 presentation with AnalyticsCreator done by a project by Exeter. Yeah, at the end of the day, 1 o'clock, we have a Q&A session about all the things you wrote in the chat. And after that, the end of the day. Let's see the next day. 9 o'clock, we start at the same time. I make a short intro, and after that, we have a really nice demo from Milestone Consulting about Power BI models, how you can automate Power BI models in the cloud and on premise and so on. After the break, you don't miss it. It's the AnalyticsCreator Roadmap 2022. You will be very positive surprised what we will do in the next year. After that, the last session of a partner from Define is a real data warehouse project in a large insurer group in Germany. You should also watch this. It's really very interesting. Yeah, and the second day, we are a little bit shorter. We close at 12 o'clock, and before we have a Q&A session and the closing. Now you get the short brief of the product. AnalyticsCreator manage the life cycle of a data warehouse. of a data platform, of a data mart, however you want to name it. You have also support to find the right architecture in the entire Microsoft stack. I show you now all steps you can do with AnalyticsCreator. First of all, you have to connect to your source. You collect your source metadata with AnalyticsCreator and maintain your metadata. You can do this also with third-party tools with more than 200 sources. This is also an automated process. You don't have to do it manually. You're supported with results and so on. Second, you do the data preparation. You do the integration of your data, the validation, the cleansing, and the historization. The historization is very important for a data warehouse project. Usually, it's really much work to do this, and with AnalyticsCreator, it's just a click. Third, you do the business model. You have an intelligent wizard. With this wizard, you pick up the metadata and the data for the preparation layer, and you grow up automatically with the wizard a dimensional model. You do your star scheme, your Kimball stuff, and also your business vault and your KPIs. This is mainly an automated process. Next, at the fourth step, you optimize the model. You do your individual adaptations, your calculations, your aggregations, you model your special KPIs, you do your governance, and you prepare your data mart layer for your front end. And in the last step, all we have designed and you have planned in AnalyticsCreator, you deploy it. AnalyticsCreator generates the code for several environments for Azure SQL Server, for the SQL Server on premises, for the SQL Server analysis services, also for the SSIS, SQL Server integration services, for the Data Factory too, and Power BI. Also, we create models for Tableau and for Qlik. Anyway, you can use any kind of front-end technology with AnalyticsCreator. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So, principle, you do the design, the development with AnalyticsCreator, the change process, and the deployment, everything. Now here, I show you the value proposition, the benefits. AnalyticsCreator reduces business intelligence and analytics complexity and risks. Results in days, not in weeks, and you have results also in hours and not in days. This works by code generating. You need much less time for consulting, and you need less resources, of course. You have X time more productive, and it's made for experts and not for experts, but it's not made for everyone. Yeah. So imagine that one person can do the work of an entire BI team. You gain a holistic data and business model. AnalyticsCreator is also a communication bridge between the business and the ID and business intelligence. Yeah, you have some graphical user interface for all data processes. You have data lineage, automated documentation, Visio, Word, whatever. The technology, don't care about the newest version of Microsoft. You have a holistic, independent model. Everything what you described in this meta model, we can generate in further newest versions of Microsoft, everything automated. Yeah, you can hold this for years, for centuries, if you like. Yeah. AnalyticsCreator also replaces old-fashioned ETL technology. And now we come to the vision. Yeah, this is really very important to understand. One of the important assets is independence. Yeah, you get independence if you use AnalyticsCreator. Why? AnalyticsCreator is a pure design time tool. You don't need AnalyticsCreator for the runtime. So it means when you develop your data warehouse, you can delete AnalyticsCreator. Yeah, everything will run smoothly because the code we generate, you deploy it in the Microsoft SQL stack, and everything is running without the engine of AnalyticsCreator. And this is really unique. You have a holistic metadata model of your business data. This makes you also independent. Yeah, this is what I said before. We transfer the copyrights to you, to your customer and partners. This is also very important because when you cancel a subscription, yeah, the most competitors, the most other products, they don't allow you to use the codes after you cancel the subscription. You can do it with AnalyticsCreator, yeah, because it's a design time tool. You also don't need anything for deployment. Yeah, it's all free after you cancel the subscription. Yeah, next is that we focus on 100% of the Microsoft Analytics stack and also on Azure. Yeah, so we put 100% our energy in this. So the outcome is the best results for the users and for the customers. We are open. We have an open repository. Yeah, this means that everything which you do is stored in a database which you can easily read. Yeah, that you can read it out and do your own application. Can you develop your add-ons or something else? Yeah. For example, we have a partner who read that information and generated a MariaDB data warehouse, for example. Yeah, what do the customer say? They reported to us that they have big savings between 50% of estimated project budgets until 10 times faster results. Yeah, there are some videos on the YouTube channel. There you can see how this works when you save 10 times more the time. Yeah. Okay, the BARC data management survey, maybe you heard about that. It's a survey from the analysts BARC. We just received it 2 days before this event. It's the pretty new one, the 22. I would say we won first prize in it. We were ranked on top in 8 leading positions from 10 and 6 top ranks. So the same was in the year before, 2020 and also 2019. So 3 years together, yeah, we had a very good place. You can download the survey for free after this Congress. For all attendees, this is a free version. You get this PowerPoint presentation, and you click here on the end of this page, and you can download it. Yeah. So my last page, I want to show you in which use cases you can use AnalyticsCreator. One of the most, of course, yeah, there is nothing in place. You have a green field. You have a new construction of a data warehouse. Yeah, that's very often. Second, you have to modernize something, yeah, a data warehouse or something else. This may have a lot of reasons because there are maybe new requirements for the business. The developers and people are not anymore there, and nobody knows, or the performance is bad. Yeah, you have a help to modernize an existing data warehouse. Yeah. You can modernize the architecture, the modeling approach, from Kimball to Data Vault, whatever. Yeah, and of course, you can do a little reverse engineering if the code can be used. Yeah, also what is very famous at our customer is we have a lot of customers which have SAP sources. This works really smoothly. We have many SAP connectors predefined, and yeah, it's good, and we use the Theobald connector for that. Yeah, also what is very good is the shift to the cloud. If you have something on place, we help you to shift your data warehouse very fast to the Azure cloud. Yeah. More and more customers asking us about going to near real time. We support also this, that you can deploy a near real time data platform. And the last point is for partners, you're able to establish a managed service environment and also a multi-client data analytics platform. Yeah, you can if you have I don't know ERP customers or CRM customers, any operational software, and you have a lot of them. It's easy to develop a standard data warehouse of all of them and deploy it to everybody. Yeah, we support this approach. Yeah, now we are finished with the first slot from my side. Now we're coming to the next. It's around 9:30, I think. Yes, it's soon 9:30. It's the introduction of AnalyticsCreator. From the green field, we have now a live presentation, and also you can see the new features from the last 12 months live. Maybe not all, but some of them. And after the Azure track. Yeah. Okay. So I show you now 2 slides about the newest features we have done the last 2 months. You will see it also in the presentation of Dimitri. First of all, was very important, a new connector, SAP ODB. This is a much faster connector than the old one. We have also SAP meta connectors. These are our own connectors. It means that we host the metadata of the SAP modules in our AnalyticsCreator Cloud. For example, MM, SD, CRM. So any type of SAP model is available in the AnalyticsCreator Cloud. So you don't need to have access to a SAP system to develop a SAP data warehouse. Yeah? You can just ask us, pick up from the cloud the module, and you can work. Yeah? It's really a good thing. We have done something in the collaboration, very important things about working together in a big team, blocking of repository objects, working with user groups to share the work to different developers. I would say it's about distributed development. So you can have developers, for example, in India, the next in the US, and other one in Munich, and you can work together. It's working really smoothly. We have a new interface, a little bit, some new icons, color settings, and so on. Point 6, we have the Tabular OLAP and Power BI security roles. This works also very good. We have a new configurable persistent store procedure. Maybe you see it after that. The point 8, the Azure Data Factory pipelines and ARM templates will be generated out of the modeling. Point 9, you can use now also the Azure Blob Store connector. And point 10, we generate Power BI cloud models. You will see this in two presentations today and tomorrow. And some enhancements with the data vault 2.0. We have done some automated processes. Of course, you can do data vault too. Everything is working smoothly, of course, but we have had some ideas and also the customers what's nice to automate. Yeah, it's working faster. Yeah, the last point, the wiki. We have a wiki since, I don't know, 10 months, something like this, with detailed description, step-by-step approach, how AnalyticsCreator works, and some videos are there. I think this is very helpful. Yeah, and all enhancements we have done, you see in the menu point of the history button in AnalyticsCreator. Yeah, so now, Dimitri, you can start with the live presentation.
Okay, then I will present my screen. Moment, please. Peter, can you confirm,
Yeah.
please, if you can see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then let me start. Okay, I will start AnalyticsCreator, and now we will create the small data warehouse in AnalyticsCreator based on the Northwind database. This is a demo database from the Microsoft house. And this database is located on my SQL server on this demo computer. You can see this is this one. And I will create the new data warehouse, new model using this data source. I started AnalyticsCreator, and now I will create the new repository or new data warehouse project. Let's call it demo Northwind. Now the new repository will be created. A repository is just a database located on my SQL server. And this repository, you can access it, and this repository created right now has a pretty clean structure, and you can evaluate the data from this repository. You have the full access to this repository. This repository, this database contains the full information about the data warehouse which we will generate. Okay, our repository now is empty, and first we will add the new connector. We support different kind of connectors. You can see them here. This is, of course, different databases like Oracle or SQL Server, text files, Excel Access, every AlleDB or ODBC drivers are supported too. We support SIP, and to access to the SIP, we use the product of our partner, Theobald, and we can directly access SIP system and read the metadata from SIP system, and we can generate ETL packages to get the data from the SIP systems. In our case, we will use SQL Server connector. Here we should define the connection string. Okay, our server is SV4, and our database is Northwind. Okay, save. We can test connection. Test connection was successful. And now I will start a data warehouse wizard, which will help me to briefly create the draft version of my data warehouse. You can see there is a list of the tables in this Northwind database, and we'll import every table from this database into my data warehouse. And data warehouse wizard will try to generate the model. for this data warehouse. Let me check if I selected every table. I hope yes. This data warehouse, this is this source database. This is a typical sales database containing information about product orders, and in this case, okay, this data warehouse is very suitable to for demo purposes. Okay, we will import every table from this database. We will historicize every table. Therefore, the according checkboxes are selected. We will create dimensions for every table which we imported, and there is a table order details containing some information about the sales order positions, and we will use this table to create the fact transformation in our data warehouse. Well, when I click on the next button, on the next page, we can decide about the names of the objects in our data warehouse. For example, every dimension in our data warehouse will have the dim prefix in the front of the object name. The fact transformations will have fact prefix and so on. Okay, on the next screen, we can set some additional properties. For example, we will generate the calendar dimension called dim calendar with a specific time period. Then here, for example, if we will, during the creation of the fact transformation, we will use every table having n to 1, n to 0 relation to the fact to the main fact transformation table. Okay, let's click on finish, and our data warehouse now will be created. Okay. We should wait a little bit. The metadata will be analyzed, and I hope in several seconds. Okay, here you can see the typical layer diagram of our data warehouse, including the data dependencies. Let's look closer on this diagram. First, on the left side, you see the source. You can see the source layer. This layer contains all data sources of our data warehouse. For example, the table DBO categories. If I double click on this table, I can see the structure of this data source, including the field names and field types and so on. Then we have the staging layer. Staging layer contains the data which we import from our data sources into the data warehouse. And you can see there is a table called imp categories. This table has the same structure like the source table, the same field names and so on. This is just a copy of our source table. The import will be happened using either integration service package or Azure pipeline. And to configure the import, you should click on this IP square. This is the definition of the import package. And if I click on it, I see first the mapping between the source and the target columns. On this place, you can, for example, define the transformations which will transform your data during data import. If you will, usually we can do it later, but if you will, you can, for example, do some type transformations during data import. Well, here, as it is very important, you can define the different filters and variables. For example, I can define the variable, I don't know, okay, timestamp, and then I can define the filter, something like modify date, if I would have the modified field in my source, greater than timestamp variable. Using such filters and variables, you can define the differential data loading. Instead to load all the data from your data source, you can only load the changed data or the data which were modified after a specific time or day. And using this opportunity, this possibility, using such filters and variables, it is very easy to restrict the data which you import from your data sources. Additionally, you can define here the different scripts, pre and post scripts. There are the scripts which will be launched, SQL Server scripts, which will be launched in your data warehouse before and after data import. Okay, that's all what you can do for with the import of the data. The next layer, this is a persistent staging layer. It is not necessary to create such persistent staging layer. If you don't want, you can exclude this layer from your data warehouse, but usually we recommend to use the data historization, and historized data usually will be stored in such persistent staging layer. As I said, we have here, for example, the categories table, but this is a historized categories table. If I take a look on this table, I will see there are 3 additional fields in this table. First, there are 2 fields containing the date information. This is the date from and date to. This is a validity time period for specific data row. That means we store the changes in the data. Every time after the data import, we compare the imported data with the data stored in the historizer table. We detect the changes, and if the data were changed, the previous version of your data will be closed, the validity period will be closed, and the new data row will be added to the historizer table. Therefore, using historized table, you have access to the previous versions of your data. It is and such historization tables can give you additional timeline, can provide you with additional timeline in your data warehouse. Sometimes this is the only timeline which you can have if you have no other timelines. And using historization data, you can access to the old versions of your data later in your reporting tool. To configure historization, you should click on HP square here, and you can very widely configure your historization process. For every field, you can decide which kind of historization you will use. 3 different kinds of historization: SCD1, SCD2, or none. SCD2 means the all changes in specific field will be stored in historization table. SCD1 means that no history of the changes in specific field will be stored, but the actual values in the historizer table will be changed. And this is the typical Kimball slow changing dimension types, and there is nothing specific. Important is we can decide for every field the historization type for specific field. There is a lot of different configuration possibilities for historization. For example, you can close the gaps in the historization data. Imagine you have the data source, and sometimes the data will be deleted in the data source, and then they appear again. And in this case, in the historization table, you will have such gaps in the data, and sometimes it is important to close the gaps, and you can do it in Analytics Creator using this missing source behavior option, like at empty record. Well, it's pretty specific, but as I said, our historization procedure is very widely configurable, and you can configure this historization as you as I said, very widely. You can okay, well, you can use the different filters to restrict the historized data. You can use calculated columns, for example, and so on and so on. This historization is very widely configurable. Important is for every historization process, we generate the storage procedure, and the storage procedure, you can see it here. This is the storage procedure which we generate for every historization procedure, and you can take a look on the historization algorithm which we use, and more you can modify the storage procedure, if you will. For example, if you select here the manually created storage procedures, then you can add something specific to your storage procedure if you wish. It is sometimes very interesting. Well, you can define the different scripts in your historization process, which will be started before and after historization. Well, this is how our historization process is working. The next layer, this is the core layer. In the core layer, we usually transform the data which we imported and historized into the effects and dimensions. And to do that, we use transformations. And usual transformation in Analytics Creator, this is just a view. View, this is the typical transformation in Analytics Creator. Let's take a look on this transformation. This is a typical regular transformation of Analytics Creator. Here you can see the list of the tables used in this transformation. This is the list of the columns used in this transformation. And Analytics Creator will generate this view, and this view will be used to transform your data. We support the different kind of transformation. You can create the view manually. For example, you just define the view, store it in Analytics Creator, and this view will act as a manual transformation. All dependencies will be detected, and but as I said, the view text you should generate by yourself. We support script transformation. That means you can create your own SQL transactor SQL script where you can, for example, call storage procedures. Therefore, we support scripts and storage procedures as transformations. Or you can use external storage procedures. You can, for example, call external integration service packages, or you can call exe files, for example. If you work on premise, for Azure it is not supported, but if you work on premise, you can create your own exe programs, for example, to import some data, and you can use such transformations which will call your exe program to import the data. Usually it is not necessary, but sometimes this is the only way, for example, to import very strange and very okay, some kind of data. Then let's take a look on the effect transformation created by Analytics Creator. You can see every table here which was imported, then it was historicized, and then we created just using the views, the transformations the dimension definition from every table which we imported, and the views generated by AnalyticsCreator are very simple. We only expose every field from every table in this transformation from the table without any transformation, without to transform the data. You can see here this union all select. This is the typical unknown member for every dimension, which can be used to in the effect transformation to join in case of the missing data row in the dimension. Let's take a look on the effect transformation generated by AnalyticsCreator. AnalyticsCreator during the import analyzed or during the data warehouse wizard, analyzed the structure of the data in the Notwind database and got the information about the relationships between the tables, and the relationship information was is now the part of our data warehouse. We can see, for example, the references between the order details and other tables. Let me take a look on it. We can see, for example, the order details transformation is related to order and to product tables and so on. And this relationship information was used to create the fact transformation. And let's take a look on this fact transformation. AnalyticsCreator found that there are many tables related to order detail transformations directly or indirectly, and it included all related tables into these fact transformations. And and from every table used here in this transformation, this is a historized table, and if every historized table has the surrogate key called, in our case, that's ID, the name of the surrogate key can be changed, and then AnalyticsCreator exposed every surrogate key from every joint table, and we can see here the list of this the surrogate key from every table used in this transformation. We can see, for example, the employee table was included twice into this transformation. We have two different employer fields. Let's take a look on the view, and the first employee field is from the table T4. This is just employer. And the second employee field is related to another employer ID. This is a report 2. And let's rename this field into report 2, just to distinguish between the different employer IDs in our fact transformation. Well, what we are missing here in this fact transformation is the connection to the calendar dimension. Data warehouse created for us the calendar transformation. This is this is this one, team calendar transformation. Calendar transformation in our case is just the view. You can see here this view definition. You can extend this calendar transformation by new fields, and you can modify it by changing the time period of this calendar dimension. But important is we will add the calendar dimension to our fact transformation. In the table orders, this is the second table in our transformation, there are some data fields, like, for example, order date. Then there's, for example, the required date. And I think one more, this is the shipped date. We have 3 different date fields in this order table, but instead in our fact transformation, instead of date columns, we need the IDs from calendar dimension, and we should convert these date fields into ID from calendar dimensions. To do that, we can use a calendar macro. Let me do it. Okay, add calendar macro. Macros, this is one of the interesting features which AnalyticsCreator offers to you. Macro, this is just the transact SQL, or in our case, this is a transact SQL statement. Let me show you how the calendar macro looks like. This is this date to ID macro, edit macro. And you can see this is just a SQL statement containing the placeholder. This double.1, this is a placeholder. When we call this macro, this double.1 will be replaced by the first parameter in this macro call. And if I take a look on my fact order detail transformation, okay, one moment. You can see this is this macro call, and the first parameter, the parameter of this macro is order date field from the table T2. This is the ordered table. If I take a look on my view, I can see this macro call was replaced by macro text, and this double.1 placeholder was replaced by the first macro parameter. Such macros can be used very widely as the small transformation bricks. Later, if I would change this macro text everywhere where the macro was used, according transformations will be changed. This is, as I said, the central place where you can define such small transformation bricks. And this date to ID macro
Dimitri, du bist gemutet. You're muted, Dimitri. You must unmute. You pressed maybe, I don't know.
Sorry, how long I was muted? Could you?
1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay. Well, then I will maybe repeat. Okay. Okay. Sorry, somebody muted me. Okay. Well, we added some calendar dimension surrogate fields from the calendar dimension, 3 different fields to our fact transformation. And now I will add some fields which can be used to define measures later. In the table order details, we have some fields like, for example, unit price, or the next one is, from the table number 1, for example, quantity, and okay, discount. And let me create one more field, discount. I think this is a percent, and I will create a new field called total, and I will calculate this total as the unit, the one unit price multiply by the 1.150 and multiply by 1 minus the 1 discount. Okay, because discount is percent value from 0 to 1, and this is how the total should be calculated. Maybe let's take a look on this view which will be generated by AnalyticsCreator. Here you can see this from part of this view, and in this from part you will see this table called CFG snapshot table. This is a very important table in AnalyticsCreator, which allow you to work with historized data in your fact transformations. You should understand every table here in which we use in our transformations. This is a historized table, order details, order, customers, employees, and so on. And to join, it is not easy to join the historized table together. And we use the snapshot table containing the snapshot dates to join the table together. In this table, there is always at least one data row in the snapshot table containing the actual date. But you can add more data, more dates into this snapshot table. For example, end of the last month, end of the I don't know, August, end of July, end of June. More data, data rows, and in this case, using this snapshot transformation, we can access the previous versions of our data. If you have only one data row containing the actual data, current data in this table, we will get from every historized table using this where condition only the actual data. But if we have more data rows in the snapshot table, we can obtain the previous versions of the data from our historized tables and export them in our data mart layer, in our OLAP cubes, and so on. Maybe it is not necessary, but sometimes it is very interesting to have access to the previous versions of the data, and using this snapshot historization, you can do it. If you don't need the previous versions of your data, if you only work with the actual data, you can select here, for example, historization type actual only, and then in your view, there is no snapshot transformation, but there is one additional where condition that persist is equal. Okay, this is just the where condition to get the most actual data from every historized table. But let's use snapshot historization. We have a little different ways how to work with historized data in our transformation, and this snapshot transformation for fact transformation is very useful historization type to get access, to be able to have access to the previous versions of the data. Well, then let me add one okay, you can see every blue square here in our core layer. This is the view. Sometimes it's necessary to persist the view, to speed up access to the view. We can persist the view data in the table, and to do that, we should add the persisting. Okay, that's one. Okay, let me synchronize my data warehouse. I just created, I just said we will persist the data of this fact order detail transformation in the table fact order details T. That means during the ETL process, all data from this view will be persisted in this table. And this persisting will be done in the persisting package. If I double click on it, you can see here is the definition of this persisting. Persisting means the content of the view will be stored in the table, and later it is much easier to access the data in the table. It is quickly and I mean to speed up access to the data. The persisting is very useful, and for every persisting, the specific storage procedure will be created where this persisting will be performed, and we support the different kind of persisting. The full persisting means the data in the persisting table will be completely truncated, and the persisting table will be filled up every time when the persisting will be performed. We support the different, for example, we support the merge persisting, we support the historical persisting in case the source of persisting is historized table or historized transformation. Moreover, you can use a manual persisting. In this case, you can change the storage procedure which we generate and add your own logic to the persisting process. But in our case, I will use the full persisting mechanism to fulfill the persisting. Here you can define the scripts which will be started prior or after the persisting, of course. Okay, you can decide if you will use transformation or don't use transactions. If the whole persisting process will be act as one transformation or not. You can use partition switching to to optimize the access to the persisting table and so on. Well, and now let's take a look on the data mart layer. Data mart layer contains the effects and dimensions in our case, and later when we generate the OLAP cubes, or when we generate Power BI models, or when we generate Tableau or Click models, the structure of that data mart layer will be used to create according models. For example, this dim category will be exposed as dimension in the data mart layer. You can see this definition here. Here we can say in the transformation that the specific transformation should be used as dim category in the specific data star. Well, we can see AnalyticsCreator know that our fact transformation is bound to some is related to some dimensions, and the relationships between the facts and dimensions will be detected and used in the data mart layer. But you can see there are some tables, like for example this customer demographics. This table is not bound to our fact transformation, because this is a table used to create many-to-many relationships between the sorry, there is one more table, employee territory, customer. Exactly. We have here one or two tables which used to create many-to-many relationships between the customer table and customer demographic table, and such relationships will be not automatically detected by AnalyticsCreator. We should force AnalyticsCreator to detect such many-to-many relationships and to use them in the data mart layers. And let me take a look. This is customer customer demographic. Let me take a look. Exactly. This is this bridge table, this customer to customer demo, and this table contains transformation customer and customer type ID. And it is important now. Wait a moment. Let me take a look on the references. Exactly. We should force that according references will be used in our data mart layer. Okay, then there is one more table which will be used to define many-to-many relationships. This is employee territories, exactly. Employee territories table, and we should force the using of according references. Yes, in the data mart layer. And there is one more table. This is this territories table. Moment. Sorry. References, list references. Exactly. AnalyticsCreator can detect the references between the tables, but in the data mart layer, only the direct references between the fact and dimensions will be automatically used. To use other references, you should force to using the using of them, or you can manually define the references between the tables in the data mart layer. Now I said to the AnalyticsCreator it should use the specific references between the tables in the data mart layer, and now we have the typical snowflake schema in our data mart layer. There is a fact transformation is bound to some some dimensions, and some dimensions are related to other dimension using directly or using the bridge tables. This is the pretty typical situation in the data modeling. Okay. Well, the structure of our data mart layer is almost done. Let me do one more thing. For example, we will add some measures to our fact transformation. This is our fact transformation in the data mart layer, and now I will define some measures which will be used in our tabular OLAP cube, which we will generate. Okay, I will take some fields, for example, customers, distinct count. Okay, let me impose distinct count. I don't know, shippers, distinct count. I will pick quantity, assume. I can take unit price as for unit price. I'm not sure. Let me take the average, because to summarize the unit price has no sense, but we can summarize the total. Okay. Sure, we can define here more complex measures. If we can define here the tabular statement or multidimensional statement. It will generate the multidimensional OLAP cubes. But okay, I would say it's enough for now. And here, yeah, one more thing which I will do. I will decide. I will say that we have here the definition of all relationships between our dimensions and facts. And okay, and there is one more thing. You remember, for example, the dimensions employers exist twice in our data mart, in our fact transformation, once as employer and once as the reports to. And here we should define one more dimension called gym reports to, which will be bound to employee dimension. Okay, let's rename it reports to. We will see immediately what how it works. As I said, there are two employees fields in our fact transformation, and both fields should be related to different dimensions. One of the dimensions, this is employee dimension, and the second dimension was just created by me. It will be called team reports. The same is related to the calendar dimension. We have three different calendar IDs from calendar dimensions. One of them is the order date, is bound to the calendar dimension, but here is two more fields, required date and shipped date. These two fields should be bound to calendar dimension 2, but we should create a new calendar dimensions in our data mart layer to do that. And let's call it team required date. And okay, and the next one is shipped date. Well, okay, and let me synchronize my data warehouse. Every time when I click on this button, synchronize data warehouse, the empty database with the structure of my data warehouse will be created in my SQL server. And now, for example, you can see there are three different calendar dimensions in my data mart layer. Okay, required date, shipped date. Okay, team calendar, let's rename it. It's not the team calendar, this is the order date. Let's rename it into the order date. One moment. Team order date. Okay. Synchronize data warehouse. Well, you can see in our core layer, we have only one team calendar dimension, but in our data mart layer, we have three different calendar dimensions based on this team calendar, order date, required date, and shipped date, because we have three different calendar dimension fields in our fact transformation. The same is related to our employee dimension. We have only one employee dimension core layer and two different employee dimensions in our data mart layer, because here there are two different employee IDs fields in our fact transformation. Well, I would say our model is complete, and now we will deploy it. And first, before I will deploy it, I will store this model in our cloud. Let's call it demo Notwind. I can store the model. I can load this model every time back. I can store this model. I can share, for example, this model with other AnalyticsCreator users. I can create the user group where I can store this model and other user, and I can include other AnalyticsCreator users, for example, your colleagues, to this user group, and I can share my work with other users. Well, and now, but as I said, this is just the model. This model is still not the data warehouse. Now we will generate the data warehouse, and we will generate deployment package. We will generate the new deployment package, not wind deploy. Deploy on premise. So, okay. What do we do to generate the data warehouse? First, we will generate the deckpack file. Deckpack file will contain the structure of our data database, and later you can deploy this deckpack file everywhere using either SQL Server Management Studio or SQL package.exe utility from Microsoft. We will deploy directly from AnalyticsCreator. It's not necessary to deploy from AnalyticsCreator, but you can deploy directly from AnalyticsCreator. We will do that. We will create the database called, let's call it Northwind. Okay, on my SQL Server SRV4, we will generate integration service packages. You can see here is a list of the packages which we can generate. Okay, we will generate the tabular OLAP cube on my server SRV4 tabular. Okay, I should give here the name of my server and user, because I should add here my credentials, because these credentials will be used to process the OLAP cube. Okay, okay, I will create the OLAP cube during deployment. I will deploy my SSS configuration. I will use environment variable to configure the integration service packages which I will generate. I hope that's all. And let's start. Okay, the deployment package which we generate, this is the Visual Studio solution or SQL Server Data Tools solution. After the solution is generated, I will open it and will show it. And later, after the deployment package is generated, you can take this package. You don't need AnalyticsCreator anymore. You can take this deployment package and deploy your data warehouse manually. To deploy the deckpack files, you can use SQL package.exe utility from of SQL Server. To deploy integration service package, you can use Visual Studio. To deploy the OLAP cubes, we will generate the according XML file, which you can launch and run using SQL Server Management Studio, and your OLAP cube will be generated. As I said, this deployment package contains everything what you need to deploy your data warehouse almost everywhere. Now we will our data warehouse will be generated locally, and as I said, we can deploy directly from AnalyticsCreator. It is not necessary, but you can do it for your development environment, for example. Okay, let's take a look on my SQL Server. Refresh. You can see there is a new NV database generated by AnalyticsCreator. Because we selected this, we checked this checkbox, deploy deckpack, and deckpack will be deployed here on, was deployed here on this server into this database. Well, our OLAP cube, let me check, was generated too. Let me search. Exactly, this is a database. This is this OLAP cube, which was generated by AnalyticsCreator. Let me check. Okay, let me check this. Okay, one moment. Refresh. Refresh. Okay, we have here some troubles with our .NET provider. Therefore, I will use SQL Server OLEDB provider to access the data. Sorry, button clicked. Okay, so here, database. Let me check the impersonation info, universe BI. Okay. Very well. Okay. Well, the generation of deployment package is done. Let's take a look on the package, on this deployment package which we generated. Okay, open analytics project. Okay. Every time when we generate the new deployment package, new subdirectory will be created. This is this one, and this is this Visual Studio package which we just generated. Okay. Come on. Oops, sorry, there is something wrong with. Okay, let me close it and open it again. One moment. Sometimes. No, oops, Moment. Ansicht. Okay, the wrong. Okay, here is our project or Visual Studio solution which we generate from AnalyticsCreator. First, you can see this is a typical SQL Server data tools solution. You can see here, you can see the integration service packages which we generate. One of them is workflow package. Workflow as integration service package is only the package you should start to fulfill your complete ETL process. In the workflow package, all other packages will be executed in the correct order. You can see we have here two import packages, two historization package, one persisting package. Okay, there is some logging which will be performed and so on. Let's take a look on the import packages which we generate. This is one of them, imp nv1. Okay, this is the import package for every table which we import. The specific container will be created. In this container, you can see this is a pretty easy what we do. The logging, the target table will be truncated. Here is a workflow to load the data. Well, nothing specific. Let's start this workflow package. Run package. Okay, the package configuration will be performed using SSS configuration table. This SSS configuration table later you can use to reconfigure your packages. For example, if you deploy into another server, you should change the connection strings stored in the SSS configuration table, and so on. But in our case, it is not necessary. Workflow package, we can see our ETL process is done. All imports and historization and persisting procedures were packages were executed successfully, and okay. Together with integration service packages in this Visual Studio solution, you can see there is a deckpack file containing the definition of our database. There is this XMLA file containing the definition of our, let me show you how it looks like. This XMLA file contains the definition of our OLAP cube, which we just generated. There are some CFG files containing the configuration of integration service packages. This is the content of the SSS configuration table. Okay, and come on. Okay, I started Management Studio to show you, sorry, to show you exactly. I just opened this XML file containing the definition of OLAP cube. You can see you can use this XML file to create your tabular OLAP cube everywhere. Well, and now let's try to process this OLAP cube which we generated using AnalyticsCreator. Okay, process database. Cool. Processing in progress and successful. Okay, our OLAP cube is processed. And now let's start the Power BI desktop, and we can try to create a small report using this tabular OLAP cube which we just generated. Okay. Get data, analysis services, V4, tabular, V database. Okay, first let's take a look on the structure of our OLAP, of our tabular OLAP cube, and you can see this is the structure, the same structure which we have in our data mart layer. In the middle, there is a fact order details table. You can see there are some dimensions, and here are some snowflake dimensions. Here is this, for example, bridge table. Sorry, this is this bridge table between employers and territories. Here is a region table which we additionally added, and so on. This is the same structure which we generated in AnalyticsCreator data mart layer. Well, let's try to add something. For example, total. Then I don't know. Team, for example. Sorry, the wrong total. I got instead to get the measure, I got the field, and we should usually use the measures which we generated. Sum of total. This is the measure, and for example, the required date and year, for example. Okay, or I don't know. Let's take one more, sum of total, and I don't know, categories, for example, category name. Okay, you can see our model is working, and this is a typical approach to create the on-premise data warehouse. We have our we created the data warehouse called NV on our SQL server. We created integration service packages to load and transform the data, and we created the tabular OLAP cube using AnalyticsCreator, and now we can create the tabular, the Power BI desktop models or reports to access the data from this tabular OLAP cube. Well, now we will try to transfer this model into the Azure, because as I said, the model which you create in AnalyticsCreator can work everywhere. Can work on premise, can work on Azure, or you can use the different mix architectures. For example, you can create everything on premise, but your Power BI model, for example, you will for Power BI model you can use your Power BI premium account, or you can, for example, use SQL Server Azure in cloud, but start your integration service package on premise to load the data. In our sample, I would use Azure for everything. I mean, we will create the Azure Data Warehouse, we will create Azure Data Factory pipelines, and we will create Power BI models using this model which we just created. To do that, let's first let me show you what do we have to create the Azure Data Warehouse. First, we have our Azure. This is our Azure SQL Server, Analytics Creator. This Azure SQL Server. Okay, we have here the database AV. Okay, this database contains some data. Let me delete the data. I have the specific script to drop all objects in the database. Okay, let me do it. And now this database should be empty, and we will use this database to deploy our data warehouse. One moment, refresh. We can see this database is empty. Very good. The next one, what we have the Power BI Premium, and we can access this Power BI Premium environment from Management Studio. You can see there is no databases on this Power BI Premium. You can see the same here when I open my Power BI web page. We have here the one workspace called AV, but this workspace is empty at the moment. And we have Azure Data Factory. This Azure Data Factory will be used to fulfill our ETL processes. This Azure Data Factory is almost empty. There is no pipelines. There is no linked services. Only what we defined here, there are some integration runtimes. This auto-resolve integration runtimes is used to access our, will be used to access our SQL Server on Azure, and integration runtime 2 is bound to our to the server containing that's Northwind database, will be used to import the data. Well, and now let's create the new deployment package. Let's call it deploy. Okay, one moment. Okay, and we deploy Azure. And now we, okay, what we will do, we will create pack file, and we will deploy this pack file. We will deploy it into this database on this server. And the server name is the server name of our SQL Server on Azure. This is a database name AV. We will use standard SQL Server security. Then we will generate, instead of integration service packages, we will generate Azure Data Factory 2 pipelines, or ARM template containing the pipelines. And we will generate the XMLA script, and this XMLA script we will deploy into our Power BI Premium environment using Power BI XML endpoint, and the address of this XML endpoint I have here. I can access, if I have XML endpoint, I can every time get this XML endpoint. One moment. Address here on Premium. This is this one. This is a URL of my Power BI endpoint, XML endpoint, which I can use in AnalyticsCreator to deploy. My name will be NV. Okay, I should enter here my Power BI login and password. And create cube during deployment. Is very important to use this capability level Power BI. Okay, deploy access configuration. I hope I forgot nothing. And let's try to deploy. Okay. Our deckpack file will be generated. Okay, now we are deploying our deckpack file. Okay. Deploying. Okay, deploying is will be performed right now. Come on. Okay, database was generated. Now the OLAP cube will be generated. Okay, and ARM template was generated too. Okay, our deployment is done. Let me take a look on the database which we generated. Refresh. First, you can see we deployed our database onto the into the Azure database on our Azure server. We did it. Okay, then Power BI. Okay, let's do it here. Now we have the new data set called NV in our Power BI Premium account. Okay, and the next what we have to do, we should deploy our Azure Data Factory ARM template. Let me do it. I click on ARM template, import ARM template. Build your own template and to load file. Okay, we open our directory containing the deployment package, and we will select the JSON file. This is this one. This JSON file contains the definition of ARM template, which we will deploy to our data factory. Okay, factory name is AC Factory. Review and create. And then create. Deployment is in progress. And come on. Okay, deployment is done. And let me refresh our data factory. Let's take a look, okay, what we did. Okay, first, there are two new linked server which were added to our Azure Data Factory, and this is the only what we now have to do. We should bound these two linked services. The one linked service is the linked server to our service to our data source, to Northwind database, and the second linked service is the service bound to our Azure data warehouse. First, let's connect our Northwind linked service to our integration runtime. Okay, authentication runtime is Windows. Okay, test connection. Okay, right now I bound our Northwind data, Northwind linked service and linked service to our integration runtime, and now I will connect this GWH linked service to our Azure SQL Server database from Azure subscription, partner network, AnalyticsCreator, AV database. Okay, we use SQL Server authentication. And okay, test connection, apply. Okay, I just connected our linked services exposed by our ARM template to the integration service runtimes. Okay, let's take a look on the pipelines and datasets generated by AnalyticsCreator. First, we have here different datasets. The source datasets contains information about all source tables in the Northwind database, and we have here additionally the different tables in our Northwind in our data warehouse. There are the import tables, staging tables, okay, TWH tables, some configuration tables. We have here the different pipelines. We have one workflow pipeline. That only this pipeline should be executed to import, okay, to fulfill the poll etal process. We have import pipelines. We have historization pipelines, persisting pipelines. The pipeline structure corresponds to the structure of our integration service packages. And now the only we have to do, we should execute this workflow package. Let me do it to load the data into our data warehouse from the Northwind database. Okay. The data. Okay, successful. Successful, I hope. Okay, everything was completed successfully. Let's take a look on the data in our database. For me is most interesting our table. This one, this is effect persisting effect table. If this table contains data, yes, we can see our fact table has data. Okay, now let's open our Power BI. This is this NV dataset bound to our data mart layer in our AdventureWorks, in our AV database on our SQL server. Refresh now. I hope it's refreshed. And let's try to create a report. Okay. Margin details, measures, sum of total. Yes, we have some data in our Power BI. Acquired date. Yeah. Very well. Sum of total. As I said, right now we got the same model which we used for to create our on-premise data warehouse and deployed the same model into the Azure. We created the Azure data warehouse, we created Azure Data Factory pipelines, and we created the Power BI model, and now we can use this Power BI model, the Power BI data set in our workspace to create the different Power BI reports. Let me try to open the same model in our Power BI desktop. One moment. Get data, Power BI dataset. This is this one. Okay, I can access our Power BI dataset from my Power BI desktop. You can see the structure of this dataset. This is the same structure which we used as we created our tabular OLAP cube. This Power BI in cloud, this is nothing more than the tabular OLAP cube, but located in cloud in our case. Well, and now we can, of course, create the reports and deploy them everywhere. Is it territory description? Oh, okay. Forgot to do something. And okay, no, this is the wrong sample. Okay, or shippers, company name, and so on and so on. Some of okay, you can see everything is working, and this is one of the most interesting new features to deploy everything on Azure, which we deployed in this year. Peter, I think I'm done.
Yes,
now.
I'm here.
Finish, yes. And if there are
maybe there are some questions. We have a little bit of time. We are now 9 minutes before 11. We planned to have a short break that attendees can go and pick up a coffee or something else. We have no virtual coffee, sorry. But maybe you have some questions about what you've seen now. You can unmute yourself, it should work. you write. We are not so much at the moment, so you
maybe
can no
or maybe
problem.
Peter, we can start our break right now and
Sure.
make more coffee. Maybe I don't know. I think.
Yeah. There comes a question. Todd is asking, does AnalyticsCreator automatically identify common dimensions and unify to a dedicated dimension table?
We are trying to. That is an interesting question. I would say no. You should understand which data you are working with, and you should decide by yourself which tables you can use as facts and as dimensions. Sure, we can help you with it. If you, for example, work with data vault model, when you use data vault model, we can automatically generate or decide which kind of data vault objects we will generate, links, satellites, or satellite and hubs. But you should understand AnalyticsCreator is a technical tool. You can use the same table as a fact and as a dimension. In our case, for example, we have here order details as dimension and as a fact. Maybe it is not necessary, but you can generate any kind of model which you wish. And this wizard can help you. Okay, wizard can help you to create the fact transformations, but you should decide based on which table you will create this fact transformation. It is not possible to automatic to do everything using data warehouse wizard. You should decide by yourself which tables you should use to create dimensions and to create facts.
Okay, thank you. Maybe another one.
Maybe later, Peter, we can show
Later,
later maybe we can show you some data warehouse projects created by AnalyticsCreator containing really containing the customer data houses, which are more complex than such demo data warehouse which we created right now, because this is really only the demo data warehouse. This demo data warehouse contains some features which AnalyticsCreator supports, but it is we support much more, and you can use the different kind of transformations. You can use storage procedures. You can use externally filled tables. This is much more what we support than the features which were used in only in this data warehouse. Later, maybe we can show you some really working data warehouses created by AnalyticsCreator and explain you more about the features, or we can do it in another session.
Yeah, also in YouTube there are many sessions recorded, and what Dimitri want to say is that what you have seen now is maybe 20% of the full functionality of AnalyticsCreator. So 4 minutes to our break. So we have now a break. We planned to break 15 minutes. So we have now 19 minutes. That's also nice. Please stay connected, stay joined, and may you have a coffee or something like this. And then after that, we start with a session of our partner, BI Automation. They will show you a very nice project, how they have done it at the customer side. They talk about the approach and the problems they had and yeah, everything. Yeah.
One more thing, Peter. This demo project which I created today, we will. I mean, every our subscriber will have free access to this project and can load it from the cloud and take a look on this demo project which we just created. If you have the demo version of AnalyticsCreator, you can load this demo